You're listening to the Pants Off Podcast with Clark Bartram and Jeremy Jackson.
CBT's Performance Apparel, where fashion meets performance. Upload your custom design or grab the CBT's Deal of the Week at clarkstees.com. The podcast with CB and JJ is sponsored by Providence Video Productions in Escondido, California, providers of full creative, video, and audio production services. Utilizing state-of-the-art professional equipment for all your broadcast needs. Web page, embedded or live streaming videos and podcasts. Aerial drone videography. Music videos, 3D animation, studio and field production. Contact us at providencevid.com.
Yeah, there we go. Now I feel official, ladies and gentlemen. That music just to get you pumped up and get you excited, because we have a very special guest in-house today on the Pants Off Podcast. And I will introduce him to you in a minute. But before I do that, I got to say hey to my man JJ, because he could not be here today. He's focused on some other things in his life, which have taken him away from the podcast for a few days. But Jim, you can go ahead and turn that down as I introduce my guest for today. And I got to tell you that this guy, from the day I met him, has become more special, not only to me, but to me and my family, as he spent a lot of time with us, just hanging out, working out, training. And I've watched this young man come to age, living his dream. His name is Ferris. He is a rookie with the Tampa Bay Bucs, and he is here today in the house on the Pants Off Podcast. Jim, get ready for that applause. Here we go for Ferris, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that's weak. That's some weak. There we go. That's more like it. Drew, welcome.
Thank you, brother.
Welcome to the Pants Off Podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, no doubt, man. Well, I appreciate you coming out today, brother. I know you were out practicing, doing your long snapping. So for those of you who are not into the football game that we love here in the United States, Drew is a long snapper. And that means he is a special athlete on the field, because he's very specialized in what he does. So we're going to walk through your career, Drew, and ultimately here with the Pants Off Podcast, what we want to do is inspire people and encourage them to, go after what they want in life. And I couldn't think of anyone better than you, honestly, to have this, because off air just now we were talking about your climb through the ranks.
Yeah.
So first of all, how's it feel, man? How's it feel to be in an NFL locker room, brother?
This is my second team now, obviously, and so it's not as like starstruck, it's more normal to me. I don't take it for granted. That's what I want to say. Every day's a blessing. Every day is an opportunity. Every day's a tryout. It's pretty cool to be, and it's an honor really to be in the presence of all these great athletes and guys who have persevered, and guys who are proven, and guys who want to, or young guys like me that want to prove themselves and have an opportunity to do that. So, it's a cool thing, because like I said, I didn't say this, but I've grown up a big NFL fan, and you know that. So. Yeah. Every day is a new opportunity, so it's pretty awesome.
So, like you said, every day is a tryout, okay? And I think people really need to understand and hear that, because I think that applies not only to any sport, it applies to life, right?
100%.
Because we're meeting people, and sports are the greatest lessons for life, as you know, being
Agreed.
A professional athlete now. But let's go back. So off air, we were just talking about Pop Warner, right? Every kid grows up, you put on the pads, you go out and play, whether you're playing flag football, tackle football, whatever your mom will let you do.
Yeah.
And you were just saying that you were a minimum play guy.
I was. When I played Pop Warner, I was kind of timid in terms of hitting, so I kind of was the nail, not the hammer, and so to speak. And I was a backup. I was a second, third string guy, a minimum play guy. Got 8 plays a game, and I just was out there trying to have fun. But our Pop Warner team was really good, but I wasn't the star player, not even close. Not even close.
That's huge. I mean, so, looking back in hindsight, being that 8-play guy, that has an effect on people, right? When that after your 8th play, the coach is going to forget about you, throw you aside, sit you on the bench, and say, okay, good players come in, I want to win.
Yeah.
It's a game of winning, right? And it's a game of competing, and like you said, every day trying out.
Right.
So how easy would it have been for you to just, at that point, quit then at Pop Warner? We're talking 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah, there were plenty of days I've wanted to quit. I remember like getting out of school, going home for like an hour or so, and like getting ready for my dad was, getting ready to take me to practice, and I would dread going. And I was like, I told myself, like, why don't I just quit? I could easily quit because the conditioning, and I wasn't playing a lot, and I was a backup, and I wasn't, valued in terms of like a starter, and I was like, there's just something that wouldn't let me quit. I don't know, I can't really pinpoint it, but it was something in me. I was like, I can't quit, especially during the middle of the season. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get myself to just say I'm done with it when it is very easy to quit. And there were guys who did, and there's nothing, I'm not, condemning those people. It's just, for me, I just couldn't hang it up or couldn't stop playing. And because I grew up such a big fan and loving football. So, but I did dread going to practice a lot. I dreaded getting hit or, dreaded doing like, bear crawls at the end of practice, but something's kind of kept me to keep going. And, so that's kind of my Pop Warner experience. Was not flashy. You're right. Game day, you go out there and then, you only got 8 plays and they want to put the other guys in. And it kind of created a little bit of a divide a little bit, like in terms of like the starters and like the guys who were minimum play guys. But I never really let that like crush me, if so to speak. It kind of just like motivated me, I know I'm talking a lot, but like on Rich Dad Poor Dad, one of the things I read in there was, failure defeats a loser and inspires a winner, and
that's huge.
I always took it as a challenge rather than the defeat, so that's kind of how I viewed it. And I just kept getting better and kind of grew into being more comfortable with hitting and contact. And that's kind of how I grew out of that minimum play role when I got to high school. I got more playing time in high school. So
when I think the thing that keeps a lot of people from quitting, you can't really necessarily pinpoint it to one thing. I don't think necessarily.
I agree.
It's probably your parents' support is a big thing. Like, them investing into you, and it's like getting you a coach to teach you how to run faster. I know all the things I did for my son and my daughter as athletes,
right,
in the investment we put in there. And then the fact that you loved the game. And then the fact that you had hope that one day you would be able to play in high school, right? That was the goal, to just play in high school.
Yeah.
So as you move from Pop Warner, what are you now as a freshman in high school? What are you, 13 years old?
Yeah, I was 13.
Yeah, so 13, you go into freshman ball. What position were you playing in high school?
Well, going into freshman year, that spring, we had like a flag football league. LCC had I don't know if they still do it, but they had it for middle school guys. And it was a way for these coaches to get a look at us on the weekends and see, where could we put guys going in next year and how are we looking for our freshman team. And
the recruiting started already.
Yeah, it was like that. And I actually ended up, I wanted to play safety because I played safety in at that league, in that little flag football league. So I started out as a safety.
And you're how big at 13?
I'm 5'11", 5'10", 5'11".
Okay, so you're pretty good size.
I was 155 as a freshman.
For a freshman, that's not bad.
That's not bad. I mean, I was pudgy, little, not super unathletic, but definitely not the fastest guy. I mean, definitely not the best athlete. But I ended up moving down to defensive end because a guy got hurt, and I was close to 6 foot. I remember one day in practice, the D-line coach was like, we're low on numbers here. Guys got hurt. And then our DB coach, because I wasn't necessarily starting at safety, I was rotating in. And then my DB coach grabbed my shoulders and said, "Hey, coach, I got a DN for you right here."
That's it.
Yeah, so I moved down to defensive end about 5 weeks into the season, something like that. So
well, now in college, even in high school, defensive end is one of the most athletic guys on the field. I mean, they got to be able to do multiple things.
Right, you got to be able to set the edge, keep contained. You got to be strong and athletic, rush the passer when needed. Play the run, so be a force player. So. Yeah, defensive end is a big responsibility.
So little did you know, they saw something in you. They saw an opportunity to take you and mold you into something more than you were. And I think that's also something that we don't understand in life when we get pulled from one place into another, and then we're faced with situations that we're not necessarily. Hey, I'm losing volume here.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
We okay, Jim? You have a confused look on your face. Yeah, you keep turning me up and down. What's going on? Hold on. Okay, there we go. So, we're like faced with something that we're not familiar with, and we could either at that point decide to give up or dig in. You know?
I like that. That's true. And I think what you're saying is, a lot of people say life is about how you react, not necessarily what happens to you. And I mean, I could have been like, oh, I don't want to play defensive end, but I want to play safety. I want to be in space. I want to be, I want to run around and hit somebody from, run down and tackle. But I was just my attitude has always been, okay, this happened. Okay, how do I adjust? What are the adjustments you got to make? And I think I pride myself on that today, is just being able to make adjustments, being able to deal with what life gives you. And that's a football life lesson that we talked about sports being the best teachers of teaching of lessons in life. And if coach wants to put you somewhere, that hey, all right, let's play. You don't gotta complain about it, or you can look at it as two different ways. And just having that optimistic view, I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't upset at all. But
you were playing football.
Just playing football, man.
What
I was
you loved.
just doing what I loved, and I wanted to get out there and play. I finally figured out like to run through the tackles and stuff, and I wasn't afraid of contact anymore. So I was just kind of itching to get out there and have fun.
So we go from freshman ball, and then you go into the next level of football is JV. Mm-hmm. Unless you're really good and they don't have enough numbers or a guy for that position, you get into varsity, which can be scary for a 13, 14-year-old kid.
Right.
So you go into JV. Did you switch positions at that time, or did you stay as a...
I stayed at defensive end. I actually ended up becoming the starting defensive end. I started the season as the end. And that was a big moment for me, and actually in my football career, because I went from just a couple years prior. I was a minimum play guy. I was, like we talked about, 8-play guy, not really looked at as somebody who to go in there and help win. And then from that to my JV team, to having the D-line coach come up to me before the game and say, "You're starting." That was like a really cool moment actually in my athletic career.
You still have that memory embedded into you.
I do, and I forget that coach's name on it, honestly, but I remember what he looks like, and I remember him coming up to me in pregame warmups and telling me I was starting, and that was kind of like, wow, like I just.
Do you remember the feeling you got in your gut?
Yeah, I do. I remember feeling I got in my chest and my gut, just like really excited and like really I was proud of myself. Yeah. Not in like a cocky way, but I was like, man, like I've really come a long way. Like I'm just proud of myself from going from, afraid of contact to, being a force out there. So
people get pride all mixed up.
Yeah.
Pride is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Until it becomes bad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It depends how you show it. I mean, if you're flaunting and, being a showboat or, thinking you're better than everyone else, that's not the way to handle pride. Or handle success. It's okay. Now you've got responsibility and you got to prove your worth every day. If your coach says you're a starter, now you got to go show everybody else why you're a starter. Yeah. So and then having pride and taking ownership in your job and having pride of what you do. That's how you do it. Not necessarily like, oh, I'm better than all my other teammates because I'm starting. You know what I mean? There's
certain people you can share pride in front of in a cocky way that won't come off that way. Like if I'm with you and we're training and like yesterday, me and Kenny Bell were doing a photo shoot together. I jumped up on that tire and I jumped down and I started talking trash. I'm like, yeah, what other 55-year-old guy can do that? I would not do that in front of people I didn't know.
Of course.
But in front of Kenny Bell, he's like, yeah, dude, you know what I mean? Or in front of you, we're going to lift each other up because we see the work that we all put in. Mm-hmm. And that's something that people don't see is the work that's being put in behind the scenes when you have this success ultimately that you want. So JV year goes by, then you start in varsity, in your junior year?
Well, so this is what happened. So basically, this is how I became a long snapper. As actually my JV year. So I was on the punt team my freshman year as a guard. So for those of you that don't know what that means is I was on the left side of the center on punt team, the left side of the long snapper on punt team. Our long snapper on our freshman team was also our starting center, and he got pulled up to varsity because he was a really good player and big guy, and we needed a center at varsity. So, well, when he got pulled up to varsity, we needed a long snapper for JV. And so it was special teams period. And I remember this, like, I'll never forget this, ever in my life. I'll never forget this.
That's awesome.
The coach goes, all right, guys, we need someone to long snap. Who wants to do it? And there was 20-plus guys, 20 of us.
Nobody raised it.
Oh, you could hear a pin drop on that turf. Nobody wanted to do it. Nobody. And
remember this, people. Remember this right now.
Remember this. Nobody out there wanted to do it. And I just remember, like, everyone's looking around. And you know when the awkward silence goes on, and then it really drags on, and, like, practice needs to go along. But, hey, guys, like, okay, we need someone here. And then
someone speak up before you get picked.
Exactly. It was about to turn into like okay, everyone snap a ball and see who's the best type of thing, you know. And I remember something. I looked around, no one saying anything, and, like, I remember something in the back of my head just made me, like, force out of my mouth, like, fine, I'll do it. That's what I said. I said, fine, I'll do it. I would go like this, and the coach was, okay, go over there. And so when he pointed me over to where the varsity snapper was at the time, and he was the first person to, like, teach me how to snap. And ever since then, I was a long snapper. Was really bad when I first started, just kind of how everybody.
It's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not easy. So it's not easy at all. But once you know how to do it, it's easy. But
well, it's like anything.
It's like anything. It's like exactly. So. It's not easy when you first start doing it, and it can be a pressure-filled position, especially if you're not confident in what you're doing. So that's how I became a snapper, and then
fine, I'll do it.
Yeah. So I tell people all the time, like, you know, it's kind of cliche, but, you know, when you do things that others won't, and you do the things that, you know, people aren't willing to do, that's kind of how I made my story what it is, you know, and how I got my life to where it is right now. So
there's so many nuggets in here that you guys are going to be able to walk away with, and I'm going to encourage you to re-listen to this because, you know, one of the points I want to make in something you said was the other guy was so good he got moved up to varsity. So it's not always your success that will create your success.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm.
So this guy got moved up, and then there was a situation that needed to be filled. There was a position that
there was
needed,
a void.
Yeah, man, right? So how many times in life does that happen, and then the request is made known to everyone who could potentially fill that spot, and nobody speaks up, you know? And everyone's quiet, like, shit, I don't want to do that because of fear, because of, no, I want to be the quarterback.
Right.
I don't do that. That's such a stupid position. That's not, you know what I mean? All these things that could go through people's heads. Yeah. But listen, when we get into later in this, remember the phrase, fine, I'll do that. So you go in, you start long snapping. Did you then start really going out and getting taught how to do that? Did you hire a coach?
So I realized, you know, I looked at myself, and I was, you know, very realistic with myself, and I said, you know, Drew, you're 6 foot. You're not like the 6'4", 250-pound like high school defensive end getting all these recruiting letters to go, you know, to this camp and go getting phone calls and stuff and heavily recruited. So I go, you know, the only way I'm going to play college football is if I long snap. So I actually. A buddy of mine had a friend who would go to these camps for kicking, punting, snapping, to be a specialist. So I seeked out those camps and signed up for one, and that's where I got the coaching of how to snap, and I worked at it. And you know, I went to a few camps, and I was not, like I said, I was not very good at first, and I needed a lot of work, and you know, but I took the coaching and just practiced, and I would go up and see that coach every couple weeks up in Irvine. He had private lessons, so I did that for about 4 months, I'd say, maybe more. And so I was getting a lot of instruction, a lot of good quality instruction, and that's where it clicked for me, you know, with repetition, just like anyone trying to become a master of anything. And then that's when I got good at snapping was after that. So kind of like the end of my junior year, going into my senior year, the spring, like the end of my junior year, going into the spring of my senior year is when I got good at snapping, essentially.
I mean, long snapping can win or lose a game, guys. So this position's important. So, you know, something Drew said right there really stuck out to me was, I took the coaching. I wasn't that good, but I took the coaching.
Yeah,
and he also said I drove up to Orange County, which is an hour drive to go there.
Each way.
Yeah. You know, so the investment of time, the ability to be coached, and the ability to realize that with good coaching and investment of that time, you can get better at anything you do in life.
I agree with that 100%.
You know?
Right.
So high school goes on. You had a pretty fun career. Did you play any other position? You long snapped or anything else?
I played linebacker, offensive tackle, defensive end, kind of like us in the box, like a 7 on the line of scrimmage or linebacker. You know, and I had fun with those positions. You know, I did. I like playing special teams too. I thought it was fun. But I knew that physically and athletically, to play Division I was not going to be able to play linebacker or defensive end at those levels. I mean, I had a couple of D3 schools that wanted me to also to play another position, not because I was really good at those positions, but because they didn't travel just purely a long snapper at that level. So they wanted me to play to snap and also do something else. And I was like, I kind of just want to snap in college. So, yeah.
So right about now, the conversations start with your dad. Like, okay, we have to plan to go to the next level.
Right.
And you start talking to your coaches, and it's like, what can I do? Because, like you said, the letters aren't coming in.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Was not heavily or highly recruited at all, even for snapping. I mean, relatively, I guess I was recruited a little bit, but I wasn't.
By what schools?
I had Old Dominion, who's now in Norfolk, Virginia. Yeah. They're Division I now. They're 1AA. I had a partial scholarship offer from them. I had South Alabama. I could have walked on there. Wasn't going to do that. Sorry, USA. Good program, but I wasn't going to go to Mobile. And from San Diego, if I was going to go far, I was going to be somewhere big. And then I actually had San Jose State. I was actually enrolled in school there as a senior in high school. I was like enrolled in classes and stuff already.
There you go, blue and gold again.
Yeah, I was committed. Yeah, exactly. I was actually committed there. Technically committed there as a walk-on. And then University of Florida, Go Gators, my alma mater. They called me a few weeks after I told San Jose I was going up there, and so because
always happens,
right? And because I didn't sign a scholarship, I wasn't bound legally to go to San Jose, so I ended up going to University of Florida. So I got fortunate because I wasn't the first guy they wanted either. There was a couple other guys they were recruiting ahead of me, but they ended up going to other schools. So
so you show up at the University of Florida, Gators, and Are you a preferred walk-on?
Yeah, I was a preferred walk-on, which just all that means is that they passed through my application to the school. I'm not on a scholarship. I'm a walk-on like all the other walk-ons. My locker's in the back. You know, all that means is that like every school gets about 4 preferred walk-on spots for all position over the whole class. Sometimes they use it on a long snapper, sometimes they don't, depending if they need one. And so that's what that means. Anything, you know.
So you walk on, you're not guaranteed anything. You're going out and you're going to earn the spot, and you start working in the hot sun of Florida, the humidity, much different than Southern California.
Well, a lot different.
Yeah, you're a freshman and you're putting in the work. How are you feeling? What's it like at that point in your life, your career?
I remember being very like, I guess starstruck. I don't know if starstruck's the word. I guess
it's a big place.
It's a big place. I mean, I went to a small high school. I finished up at a small high school, and I'm now at University of Florida. Just the previous season, they just won the Sugar Bowl. Guys like Tim Tebow, the Pounceys, Joe Hayden. All these guys just went to the NFL. A lot of tradition, a lot of history, a lot of pride there. 90,000 person stadium. Urban Meyer's the head coach. I mean, I wanted the big time show. I got the big time show, so it was very, cool to be training with those guys and be in a program like that. But like you said, it was hot. And I remember like the first day of doing conditioning, and I was gasped. I mean, I thought I was drowning. It was so humid out there, but, I was for the college ranks. I mean, I was out of shape. I was, slow. I was, just not ready.
What was their conditioning test?
We did, I remember 16 half gassers. Okay. And if you think about it now, 16 half gassers actually is a lot. Yeah. Down and back, from sideline to sideline. Yep. And especially in that humidity. So we would do in chunks of 4. So we would do 4 and then get like a minute break. Yeah. And during the gaskers, our rest was the other groups going. So there was 3 groups, and I was so afraid to stop, even though I was like gasping for breath. I was so afraid to stop because I was like, I can't stop. I mean,
You and 100 other guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no one out there enjoying that.
No, absolutely not. And I was a freshman and I was running with the team. I was like, I can't freaking pass out here. I mean, that'll show all the other guys that I can't keep up, So there was no way I was going to stop, but I was hurting. I was dying out there. So
you keep pushing through, you suffer through, and then you finally get to the point where they're assembling the team and putting people in positions. Was your name called at any point during that process? Did you realize you were going to be a guy that was going to make that team?
My freshman year?
Yeah.
Well, the way college works is if you have a roster spot, technically you're on the team. But my freshman year, I did not play a single game. I was the 3rd string, walk-on long snapper, which is like the bottom of the bucket.
Did you dress?
I dressed for home games. I did not travel to away games. Okay. So that's actually a pretty fortunate thing as a walk-on, especially someone who's 3rd string. So there was a couple guys ahead of me. One guy snapped punts, another guy snapped field goals, and I was the third guy. So my freshman year, like I said, just wasn't ready to play, wasn't physically, mentally really ready to own the job. You know what I mean? And that's normal for freshmen. It's hard to go in at any level of college football. It is hard to go in and start as a freshman at any position. So it was like a blessing in disguise for me to redshirt that year because I was able to learn and get stronger and train. And, I was kind of stressed out because I didn't know if I was going to, play the next year, and the guy that was snapping punts was 1 year older than me, and then the guy snapping field goals was a redshirt senior.
That's interesting. So, they had 2 different guys.
They had 2 different guys, yeah. So
you're in a big time when they have at the college level 2 different guys.
Yeah,
basically lawn snap.
Yeah, exactly. And the field goal snapper was a big dude. He was like 6'4", 270 guy, big strong guy. And then the punt snapper was my build, same frame as me, probably a little more athletic. And that's
so he could run down the field. The other guy was just blasting through people and filling the gap.
Exactly. Yeah. He was more of a lineman, the field goal guy, and then the punt snapper was more of a cover guy. Yeah. And I mean, the punt guy probably could have done field goals blocking wise, but I guess I hate talking smack on anybody, but they brought back the lineman field goal guy because in spring, the previous spring ball, the punt guy didn't snap well in punt or in field goals, so they brought him back for his 5th year. But anyway, that's a different.
So you're still training, you're still working out, you're gaining weight, you're learning, you're listening, you're being coachable, and you're investing the time, waiting for your opportunity. At what point at the University of Florida did your opportunity come? So
then the following training camp, so going into my 2nd year on the team, I'm a redshirt freshman. The guy who did field goals last year is gone. And I'm competing with me, and they've actually brought a freshman in the year after me. So there's me and 2 other guys who are competing for reps.
So they brought a guy in. Did they scholarship him at all?
No, they didn't scholarship him.
He was another preferred walk-on.
He was another preferred walk-on guy. And I got a shot in training camp, and I did well at times, definitely. But then the other guy I got kind of fortunate at least. He was coming off some hernias, and kind of struggled in camp due to injury / combined with I was ready for my opportunity and did play well and did do well in camp, and the other guy made some mistakes snapping, and I won't say took advantage, but I didn't, and
take advantage of it.
Take advantage. So I don't want to talk about him necessarily. I'll just talk about me. I took advantage of my opportunity. I didn't make any mistakes. Just performed well, and they felt comfortable with me, and I won the job. So went in there. First game I ever played, I was actually sick. I had like 100-something degree temperature. It was against FAU. I was at home against the FAU Owls, and we didn't punt that game. That's how bad we beat them. We didn't punt. So I forget how many field goal snaps, but I remember my first ever snap in a game.
What was it like running out there knowing, okay, here I go?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a night game. I was like, it kind of felt like a movie a little bit. It kind of felt surreal because you go down there and
how many fans?
Oh, it was home opener, and we were coming off a really good season.
So
like I said, it was packed. It was probably sold out.
Well, how many is it?
I mean, it holds
60,000.
No, normally it holds 88.
Oh shoot!
And then when they pack it in, it's 92.
Wow.
So there was 80 plus thousand, probably 88,000 fans.
Wait, anybody call the fire marshal? They hold 60 and they pack in 92. That seems to be off of code.
Yeah, exactly. No, the swamp is a big stadium, but it was like looking between my legs and back at the holder. You got to focus on the holder, because if you look behind the holder, it's a bunch of people, and that guy looks real small back there. So,
different than frickin' La Costa High School, man.
Yeah,
right?
I know. Yeah. So, or the Jewish Academy where I finished up. Yeah. So, it was cool. It was really fun. It's awesome experience to kind of you grow up fast. You got responsibility. How many 19-year-old kids in college have responsibility ever of anything? Besides showing up to class, and if you don't even show up to class,
hello, welcome to the world, young man. Time to do what you said you wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. So that's another good point. Is like, if you really want something, and then you got to show up, and you got to work, and you got responsibility, and you got to perform. So everyone wants it, but do they want to handle the pressure or like the work? Not everyone wants to do that. So.
So you go out, you snap for a bunch, and then the season goes on. You keep going.
Yeah.
You're solidified now as the guy.
I go throughout my first year. I hold my job all season. I'm still a walk-on. I mean, I'm always a walk-on, but I didn't have a scholarship at this point still. And I remember because my coach told me when he was recruiting me, he said, you come here and do punt and field goal, we'll put you on scholarship. I was like, oh. Great. I'll be on scholarship in 6 months. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. I was kind of a, not cocky freshman, but I was confident in my abilities. But
as you should.
As I should be, right? So I played punt and field goal. And at the end of the season, I was like, all right, like, where's my scholarship? I just played 13 games on 2 special teams. Like, where's my scholarship? And they're like, well, we have to see how the recruiting class looks for the next year, and then we'll get back to you. And I'm like, well, that's another semester of out-of-state tuition right there, and that's a lot of money.
Hello? Mom?
Yeah.
Dad? Not yet, but can you send another $32,000?
Yeah, another 20 racks. My parents, again, I'm blessed because my parents were able to afford it. So,
Shout out,
Pam and Walt. Thanks, Mom and Dad. So, that spring, I wasn't on scholarship. And at the end of that spring, 2012, I got put on scholarship the day before. I was notified the day before the spring game in a team meeting that I was going to be put on scholarship.
It's a big celebration in the meeting room. It's like, okay, we got an announcement right here.
Well, he didn't say it like that, but he subtly said it in front of the whole team, and it was Coach Muschamp. Shout out Coach Muschamp. If you ever hear this, he's coaching at South Carolina now. Put me on scholarship, so very fortunate for that because I know he didn't have to.
You see a lot of that on YouTube now, these guys that walk on, and then, the coach will do something really kind of unique.
Exactly. You'll see them, all these like social media departments of these colleges will put together these, videos to try to go viral. And I'm not hating on it. It's awesome. I was one of those guys that walk on, who earned a scholarship and was announced in front of the whole team. And I'm getting chills thinking about it, man. I mean, it's almost like when we go back to me being a freshman, me being on JV and being told I was a starter, and then going into my second year in college, I said second year high school, second year college, and then told you're being put on scholarship is that was definitely the highlight, the pinnacle of my football athletic career. So, I mean, to kind of recap, I went from minimum play to starter in high school to walk-on in college to starter in college to earning a scholarship. So there was ups and downs there, and definitely, and we didn't talk about wanting to, the urge to quit or potential feeling of quitting. There was definitely times wanted to quit or feeling down or it's gonna happen. I mean, when you're going through, but you just got to fight it. That's all I can say. You just got to fight the urge and stick with it and kind of.
Be coachable, put in the time, all this stuff
be coachable. Being coachable is huge. It really is, because it's not your way or the highway, it's their way or the highway. And so are you going to adapt or are you going to fall?
And coaches aren't always the nicest guys.
Not when they're coaching, not when they're on the field, maybe off the field they are, but on the field, they're fighting, man.
And they don't always like you.
that's, and you don't have to like them either, but
Right.
you have to respect them, and you have to, take their coaching and do what they say. And I mean, it sounds cliche, but you got to be subordinate. I mean, you got to learn how to bite your tongue.
Another life lesson, folks. Right
Yeah,
there.
learn. I mean, that's a big one. If I could highlight anything, learn to bite your tongue, because I've bit my tongue so many times, and it's paid off at times. So especially in college. So
Yeah. So I remember a conversation we had, Drew, a while back, and you said in the locker room one time, I don't know if it was at halftime during a game or whatever, you stood up and as a fifth-year senior, and you stood up and you really got on the guys. I remember you telling this specifically, and I asked you how you felt about it. And you like, listen, I put in my time. I was there. I did the work. I don't know if you remember that conversation, but you either gave some speech.
I think it was not a halftime. It was my senior speech.
Okay.
It was the night before we played Florida State. It was before my last game, second to last game. We had a bowl game that year, but yeah, it was all the seniors got the opportunity to speak in front of the team.
Yeah. So there you go. So now you're this preferred walk-on at a huge program. You go out there in the hot sun. You want to quit. You're not guaranteed anything. Now suddenly you're in the locker room, given the opportunity to talk to the entire team with a bunch of other kids who are now in that exact same place that you were. And even though, guys, that you're not the scholarship athlete, you're not the first one they come looking for, suddenly there's this opportunity to lead. Suddenly there's this opportunity to speak in the lives of other people because you put in the work. And to me, that's a lot more impressive. And I'm going to listen to a guy like that probably more than I'm going to listen to the guy that's the super good athlete that was given everything, that can come out there and do it without having to practice and without having to put in the work. Do you remember that speech that day and what you said to those kids?
Well, I mean, I was kind of leaving them with my thoughts of, for beyond football. I mean, it was kind of more of like life stuff. Like, I think I was telling those guys, like, I mean, it was 4 years ago now, but I was just basically telling them, like, take advantage of your opportunities. You are replaceable, and know that, obviously nothing comes easy, but just, while you're here, it goes fast, and take advantage. Like I said, take advantage of those opportunities in practice. I mean, I'm a special teams guy. I'm a long snapper.
Right.
I'm not a flashy position. And it's playing special teams is not flashy unless you're like the kick returner and you're returning kicks for touchdowns. Right. But if you're like the R5 on kickoff, nobody, not even a lot of people in football know what the R5 is on kickoff or what they do or what the responsibility is. And just you can make a living playing R5 on kickoff at the next level. And there's guys who do it for 7-10 years playing kickoff.
So the R5 on football is what? Explain it.
It's on kickoff. You're the 5 on kickoff, and you're on the right side of the kickoff team, and you're the closest to the kicker. You're lined up like inside the hash, and you have to own a lane, and you work against the kickoff return team and squeeze the ball and tackle the returner. You're a cover guy. Yeah. You don't touch the football, and you just kind of take up space, but you're out there trying to make a play. It's not the flashiest position. Most people aren't going to notice you.
But you're responsible for a lane.
Yeah, you're responsible for...
And if you get out of that lane, things can go bad.
Things can, especially if your teammates don't play off of you and you don't have each other's backs and stuff. So the point is that special teams is something that's not flashy, and it takes a humble guy to do it, and just to go out there and, like, own something, take ownership of it. If you're the R5 on kickoff and the frontline guy on KOR, I mean, dude, be the best freaking R5 on kickoff and the best freaking frontline guy on KOR, and own that.
Why, people? Because it's your job. It's because what they've told you to do.
Right. Exactly.
And they're depending on you to do
Depending on you to do it, and in those guys who are playing at that level, they're doing it because nobody else wanted to. Whether that was in college, they were like, nobody wanted to do it, and they were put there, and you can either say, oh, God, like, I don't want to be the freaking L5 on kickoff. Like, I don't want to play KOR. Like, this sucks. Or you could go out there and say, all right, I'm going to get good at this thing. How good can I get at this thing? And, next thing you know, you're doing it and you're getting paid to do it, so.
It's so funny because you remember Ricky Seal. You have a story about him
Yeah.
and Pop Warner. But when Ricky played at Escondido High School, my son, played behind him. He was a few years back. But anyway, his dad played in the league. He played with the Chargers and the Raiders, and Sammy Seal.
Sammy
safety.
Seal. Yeah, I know who he is.
But the thing I remember about Sammy Seal was he would always, every time on the kickoff, you would hear him screaming above everyone else because he knew what was going on when all the other parents were just there, most of them, to watch their kid play. Stay in your lanes. Stay in your lanes. He would go nuts because in high school, typically guys just want to go after the ball.
Right.
And they're going to abandon the lane that they're responsible for. And like you said, things can go bad. That's why in high school you see a lot of guys running kickoffs back for touchdowns because guys aren't disciplined enough
agreed.
to stay in their lane.
Absolutely.
So anyway, college football ends. You had a great career at the University of Florida. You played. You got to play in front of 93,000 people in a packed house. You played in bowl games. You had all of these memories. Now that ends. It's over with. Every guy's dream, most every guy's dream at that point, is to go into the NFL. So what is your process for this? You go back to the drawing board again because it's
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, definitely.
So, because again, just like in college, just like in Pop Warner, just like in high school, they weren't looking for you. They didn't come after you. You weren't on any list. No one was, sitting there watching this long snapper.
Very, very similar experience from when I got out of high school to college. From getting college, trying to go into the NFL. I wasn't, highly ranked prospect recruit, even at my position. I mean, I wasn't. I know, and again, how I redshirted in college. I mean, I kind of needed more time to develop after college to get ready for the next level.
Yeah, so you kind of redshirted in a way.
Yeah, and I've been redshirting, for a few years now.
You redshirted, you gray shirted. What other colors do they have available? There's one other color available.
Purple. I don't know, but anyways, because like from high school to college, like physically, I said like I really wasn't ready. I wasn't in shape. Wasn't physically ready or mentally ready to take on that challenge and to be the guy. And then going from college to the NFL again, I needed. I was very critical of myself, self-evaluation. If I want to if I want to get an opportunity to play, at least, what do I need to do? And I was like, okay, I need to train harder. I need to eat better. I need to take care of myself, and I need to change my body in order to have the physical tools to be able to play at the next level.
So this is where we meet at this point.
Yeah. So I'm on my mission to like become the best, the strongest, fastest, best athlete I can become.
So with that being said, this is where we meet, and I don't know if you remember the day. So
I
remember
was
working with Cree, and we had little guns and big guns. And at 8 a.m., the little guns would show up. So I walk out there to go coach these little guys, and they're 8, 9, 10. They're in flag football and this and that. So I walk onto the field, and I look over, and I see you. And I see your Florida Gator shoes on, and I see you doing, some
bags.
Some bags.
Kenny had me
ladders.
doing the bags with the kids. You remember that? Yeah, I remember that.
So here's this big guy that just graduated from the University of Florida, and he's practicing with 8, 9, and 10 years old kids. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing here right now?
It was, it was a Sunday morning too.
Yeah.
It was like Sunday at like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning at Orange Glen.
Yeah.
And I remember because Kenny had me out there doing that stuff because he was training me at the time. So yeah, I remember that. And then you were wearing a PB shirt, power bodybuilding shirt. And I was like, dude, I know the guy who has that. I had no idea who you were, or like how you knew the guy.
Right. But the point is, you're out there with 8 and 9, 10-year-old kids putting in work and doing the basics, people. It's back to the basics again. High knees, cutting on this outside foot and, driving with this and doing that, and high knees and locking the L's and all of these things that you learn to become stronger, faster, quicker, more mobile, all of these different things. This guy is doing this once again with the hopes of someday getting an opportunity to earn a spot on a professional football team. So you do that work, we become friends. I see you working out, you're coming over to the house, and we're eating and training and having fun. All the while, you're surrounding yourself. Now, this is an important point too, people. He's surrounding himself with guys who are attempting to do the same thing, and guys who have done that, and guys who are currently doing that. So you're surrounding yourself with like-minded people who are going to elevate you to a place of training harder, working harder, still being coachable, not having a cocky attitude, being humble, like you said, and putting in the work in order to get the opportunity. So you're with John Carney around all these professionals.
Right.
You're training with me, who's, done well in my individual, pursuit in life. And you're working with the best of the best, putting in the work. So now, what are you trying to do league-wise? What are the moves that you're making?
So I was getting ready for a free agent combine where you go there and you showcase your skills in front of scouts and coaches, and you hope to get a look. Essentially, it's kind of like a cattle call.
Yeah.
Like you said, what you said was very true. Like surrounding yourself with people who work hard and I can learn from, and that's why I feel like I'm pretty blessed and fortunate, because I had this sphere of people that were wanting to see me do well and teaching me, and I was learning from people who've worked hard themselves. And one of the best ways to learn is to learn by seeing and being around people who do the same thing. So. But yeah, I was getting geared up for a free agent combine in Arizona, and just hoping to get a look. That's all. I mean, I was expect the worst, hope for the best, essentially what people say. So just went in open-minded, said, go out there and just do my thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean, some people get real nervous for those things, but I was excited for it, and so I went out there and.
So what does that feel like? So you're out there and you got these coaches sitting up in the stands, right? You got a bunch of guys coming around. You recognize some. You played against some. You might even know some from high school or whatever. There's the pot starts getting much smaller as you go up, and the competition starts getting much greater.
Of course.
Now, here's this situation again where, like, okay, come on out. They call you out. You have to snap. How many snaps do you get? And so how quickly do you have to?
So there was 20. Well, actually, at that one, there was less. There was actually there's certain guys who qualified for the event. So maybe there was 30 guys that tried to qualify. Half of them did. Maybe only 20 guys tried to qualify. 15, 16 guys did. You get 5. So how they did it was you get 10 field goal snaps in a row. Everybody gets 10 field goal snaps. It gets charted and stuff. All the coaches are there, and you get filmed. You have a professional filming and stuff. And then you do punt snaps, and you get 5 blocking right. Everyone does 5 blocking right, and then you go back again and go 5 blocking left. So you got 20 snaps total.
And each one is graded, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's graded. There's a chart. Each coach has a chart, and they can write notes, and they can time you, and they can mark it down how accurate it was or whatnot. It's all on film too, so there's a lot of eyes on you. But that's going to be in any sport, any profession that you want to be. If you want to be at the top of your game, you got to be used to having eyes on you at any position, at any sport, any profession. So like if you've got the #1 podcast in the country. There's gonna be a lot of listeners, and there's gonna be a lot of people with eyes on you. You know what I mean? So, if you've got the #1, clothing business or something, or you have the highest sales in that quarter for clothing, people are gonna want to know. Hey, let's take a look. You're gonna have attention on you. So,
shout out to clarkstees.com.
There you go,
clarkstees.com.
Clark's
Go there,
Tees.
get your shirt.
Yeah, and what I'm trying to say is just you can't let that get to you.
No,
you know what I mean. That's all I'm saying.
So, how did you do in that?
I did well. I had a great day. Felt good about my performance. All the preparation I put in, with you guys, paid off, and I ended up getting a couple contract offers with a couple teams, and then I ended up ultimately signing with Seattle.
So this is a big moment in your life.
This is a very big moment in my life.
I remember the day. I remember coming over. I remember saying goodbye. I remember all of that, and everyone's so excited and happy. I remember looking at all the pictures and getting the updates. So you're in Seattle. You're in the big league. You're up there. You're throwing fish at the market.
Yeah, that was a little later on, but
yeah, you're doing all this stuff, but you're going up there with the hopes of making this team. This is very important for you guys to hear, because there's a story within this. In and of itself.
Yeah, if hopefully a lot of people are still around, because this is
this is recorded. People are gonna hear a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, you go up there, and how are you doing in camp? You're doing well. I mean, you're performing.
I'm snapping really well for the most part, but that's really all I'm doing well. And I think that's just like in snapping there's not just snapping. As a long snapper, there's other components to the game. You got to be able to block, and you got to be able to cover, and you got to be kind of like a smart football player. And blocking is a big part of it. So.
And they're devising schemes to come around you,
Oh,
so you
yeah.
got to know which way to go and
Absolutely
not get fooled and
not
look
take
like
the
an
bait.
idiot. Yeah,
Exactly. So, snapping well, not blocking very well, and then, we don't have pads on yet. You know what I mean? So, when you don't have pads on, you can kind of get away with a few things, technique errors in your blocking because you're not getting rushed real hard and stuff like that. But off the field, football wise, I guess I was kind of too concerned with like my image, I want to say. Maybe I wouldn't say I purposely got off my focus of football, but I was allowing things off the field to kind of distract me from getting better and doing.
Did you kind of feel like I made it? Here I am, and just slipped a little bit?
I definitely didn't feel like I made it. As in, like, oh, I'm done, I'm finished,
Right.
like I'm at the top. Definitely didn't feel that way.
Or I'm here, I got this on lock, or any of that?
I mean, I don't want to say it was completely like that.
Okay.
I mean, maybe subconsciously I might have felt that way.
Well, what was
But
it that got you off focus?
I was too concerned with like trying to of my, like I said, my image. I was trying to like get well known in the community.
Oh, okay.
And I was trying to.
Yeah.
There was other things off the field that
You
were
put the
distracting.
cart before the horse.
Exactly. Yeah, I would definitely say that. Put the cart before the horse, and it wasn't because I felt cocky, like, oh,
No, you
this
were
is my
just-
job. It was just like there was other things I was concerning myself with that I shouldn't be concerning myself with.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Stay focused, people. Stay in your lane.
Exactly. So stay focused. Exactly. So I wasn't necessarily as much. I didn't have all my focus on the field, and that's kind of easy to do in the NFL because there's a lot of people out there that
Distractions, folks.
distractions, trying to get your attention, trying to have you do things. I mean, and that's just how the business is. But you have to be disciplined, be able to say no, and I learned that the hard way. But you got to be able to kind of put your priorities in line and focus on your job, and that's what I've been able to do. I feel like really well this off season with Tampa because I have no off the field distractions. It's all football. It's all ball. I'm learning and
Right.
doing all that. So
let's not jump ahead, Jim. You've jumped ahead on that right there. You got to wait. I have this all plotted out in my mind, even though I don't plot it out.
no, but you're doing a good job of relaying everything that's going on. So
Yeah, we have to kind of keep it in chronological order because it's important with the story that we're trying to lay out here. Because again, the Pants Off podcast is all about inspiring you guys to really fulfill what it is that you want out of your life, regardless of what it is. So you're playing, you're around all these big guys. Did you meet Russell Wilson, any of those guys?
Yeah, he was actually one of the first guys I met. Actually, Doug Baldwin was the first guy I met. Really nice guy. And I knew of him. I didn't know really what he looked like. And he said, "Hi, I'm Doug. Nice to meet you." It was
You're
first.
like, oh, that's Clark's dog's name.
That's right. No, I looked at him and I go, God, this guy's tiny. I was like, there's no way this is Doug Baldwin. I was like, this guy's so short. He was 5'10", little short guy. Come to find out, like, it was him, and I'm like, dang, this guy's a lot shorter than I thought he was.
That's the same thing you said when you met me?
No, I didn't even know. I didn't know who you
know who
were.
it was.
Yeah, but just hearing the name Doug Baldwin on TV,
Right,
you know who he was. But super nice guy, super athletic, super talented, leader of the team, undrafted guy actually, undrafted free agent out of Stanford. I think Doug Baldwin. He's like making like $11 million a year or something like that. That's
Chump change.
Talk about talk about inspiration. There's that guy. So, anyways, first guy I met him during our physicals that day. I met Russell Wilson also. That was kind of cool. Super nice guy, humble dude.
So they got to go in and get their nuts checked just like everybody
Yeah,
else.
exactly. EKG, blood work, all that stuff, and those guys are big time players, and those guys are super humble. And something I could have.
What did Russell Wilson say to you? He introduced himself, or he just kind of passed by? Like,
No, he introduced himself, and he didn't big time me or anything.
Right.
Seattle is a great organization, and they're very, very keen of who they keep in there and who they have in there, what type of character the guys they have. I think that's what they're really good at, is having high character guys there. So they have team guys, and they have guys who are very, very humble and very modest. So I never felt big time by anybody over there. So no, Pete Carroll's got a good thing going on over there.
Yeah, what's Coach Carroll like?
He's a player's coach.
He can still slang a football, man.
Yeah, he's still he would. You know, it's funny actually. He would go. I would be in the weight room. The weight room has double doors open onto the field. Most teams have that, and I would be in there putting my cleats on, stretching. You know, doing my pre-practice routine. And he would be in there, and he would have a assistant strength coach help him warm up his shoulders. And so he would get like on the incline bench and do like these eyes wise tees, you know, doing this stuff.
Yeah,
and
the King's Row.
Yeah, and he'd start warming up his shoulder and all that stuff. And then he would get on, and then he'd run out there on the field and play catch, you know. And I was like, dude, this guy's like 60-something years old, still throwing this thing around. So it was pretty cool to see. But he's a player's coach. You know what he's really good at too? He's really good. And granted, I wasn't there long in Seattle, but he's really good at not allowing guys to what's the word? Kind of like go through the motions.
Right.
He's really good.
Every rep is counting.
Yeah, and from practice to practice, you know, it's really easy to when you're doing out there consecutive days in a row and doing the same things, it's the monotonous stuff. It's really easy to kind of just go on cruise control, and he's really good at not allowing guys or getting guys to get off that and really focus on every practice and get the most out of everything. So
you only have so much time.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You only have it goes
got
by
like 20 minutes in a period, and you got to move on to the next
yeah,
thing.
and the NFL has rules on like how long you can practice and stuff like that. So, you know, yeah, you got to squeeze out as much practice time as you can get, many reps as you can get. So he's good at getting guys to really get the most out of practice and stuff like that. So great coach, great person. There's nothing I have no bad words to say about Pete Carroll. I mean, he's a great guy. And I mean, granted, I was only there for a few months, but that was my experience in a nutshell.
So, you know, you see these shows on ESPN and or whatever, and Hard Knocks, right? Going through training camp, and one of the hardest episodes to watch on any of those shows is when they're starting to cut guys, and you know the infamous walk, right? They come. Is it like they show where they say, okay, hey Drew, hey Ferris, come here, give me your playbook, let's go see the coach?
I mean, when I got cut, it was I remember I was walking into lunch and a guy goes, "Oh, have you seen so and so yet?" And I was like, "No, I haven't talked to him yet." Like, I'm gonna need you to see that guy.
Oh, so he tricked? Was he kind of tricking you?
He was kind of tricking me. They call him the Reaper, the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to be the Reaper this year? You know, so it wasn't. I got cut like the first week of training camp, so I wasn't cut like went on the day where they had to cut guys.
So it was kind of
blindsided. I was the only one cut that day. So yeah, it was definitely like a when they go, you know, right, left.
Yeah.
I got hit with the left and wasn't ready for the the left jab, you know. So like I know I haven't seen him yet. So I'm talking moments later, within like seconds later, I'm like looking around, like, oh, there he is. I'm gonna need you to talk to that guy. And the guy who it was Dan Morgan, played linebacker in the NFL for a long time for the Carolina Panthers. He's now, I think, with the Buffalo Bills as director of player personnel, I think, something like that. Good guy, great guy. He's, you know, took me down and walked me down the hall, and I was like, in my head, I'm like, why do I need to talk to this guy? And then it hit me, like, as I'm walking down the hall. It was lunchtime. I lost my appetite. I got real sweaty. I started getting real hot, and I knew what was coming, and sat me down, and, you know, he said, hey, we're going to release you today. Didn't sugarcoat anything. I was in there. I sat down for 10 seconds.
Wow.
We're going to release you today. You know, running back got hurt, and, you know, we don't need 2 long snappers, and that's the direction we're going. So, do you want to fly out to San Diego today or tomorrow?
Dang.
So that was,
wow.
You know, so like that, gone.
That's ruthless, man.
Yeah,
That's pulling that Band-Aid off quick.
Yeah, that's a little worse than a Band-Aid, but yeah.
So did you want to cry? I mean, honestly, how'd you feel at that point? Were you in shock?
I was in shock. And not in shock in terms of like, I know anything can happen in the NFL, but you never like go into camp thinking, okay, looking over your shoulder, like, when am I going to get cut? You know, you don't want to. You want to be focused on, you know, getting ready and performing your best for each practice. So, it was definitely a shock for me. Just again, this is one of those times where you want to say and do things that you know you shouldn't do. So when I talk about biting your tongue, you know, I had to bite my tongue, and you just kind of have to own it and okay, this is what happened, and you can handle it. There's certain ways you can handle things. You could be professional about it, or you can be a little kid about it. So just kind of, you know. Did
they really get security and walk you out of the building?
No. So what they did from there, they took me downstairs. I had to sign some paperwork in the training room. Went back to my locker, packed up all my stuff.
And dudes got their head down, not looking at you like, I don't even
well,
want to look
no,
at them.
the guys on the team didn't even know I was cut.
Wow.
So they don't know you're cut. The way guys find out you're cut
You're gone.
is if you don't show up the next day
Yeah.
or your locker's not there. They go, oh, wait, Ferris wasn't in a meeting today. Oh, wait, you didn't hear? Oh, we got cut. You know, that's kind of how you find other players find out if you got cut or not. It's not like, oh, hey, you know, newsflash. Not everyone gets a text message on their phone that says, oh, by the way, you know. So I remember I just got cut 5 minutes prior, and I'm in my locker, and Thomas Rawls actually his locker's right next to me, and I got cut on an off day, and people's families were in there walking around, taking tours and stuff. And he was talking to me. He's like, "Hey man, like, isn't it awesome to you know come to work and you get to show your family like what you do and why you do it for, you know, why you do it and who you do it for and just you know." And I was like, "Yeah man, that's awesome. Yeah man." Like I didn't know what to say because I just got cut. I was holding my release form. I mean,
wow.
And I didn't tell him I got cut. I said goodbye to nobody.
Yeah.
I didn't go up to any of my teammates and say, "Hey man, I was only there for an off season.
Yeah.
I never played with these guys."
Right.
So,
but still,
I was like a puppy dog with his tail between his legs, like, just get me out of here, you know, like, and so it was a tough time, but, you know, I had to face it. And
who's the first person you called?
So I got back. So actually, I had some family friends in the area, and I went and stayed at their place. Actually, I had to go get my bags from my hotel.
Right.
Had to get my iPad, my playbook, turn it in. Had to turn in my security card. Got home to my family friend's house about 5-10 minutes away. And I remember going in that guest room and laying on the bed and I tried calling my dad first. He didn't answer. Called my mom. My mom answered, told her. She was real supportive. You know, obviously my parents have been super supportive of me my whole life. Called my dad, and that was probably one of the toughest things to do is tell my dad I got cut. You know, and he's like, "You're not," you know. He thought I was kidding at first. I'm like, "No, Dad. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I got cut." And I remember I was kind of tearing up a little bit. He didn't.
I'm tearing up right now.
I know. I can see. So I remember it was tough to tell my dad because like my dad's like my biggest fan. Like my dad is my biggest fan.
That's why I said who was the first person you called.
So
I knew it was your dad.
And my dad has been with me thick and thin throughout my life. So he was obviously real supportive and said, you know, like he didn't, you know, bash me or anything. You know, he was very supportive, and you know that was.
God.
Yeah, I mean, you know my dad,
yeah.
And so you know, I remember I didn't fly that night. I flew the next day, and I remember I got picked up from the airport. My mom, my grandma, my sister picked me up from the airport. My sister was getting married 12 days later, and all my family and friends knew like that I wasn't going to make the wedding.
That was the big dilemma.
It was in August. I was supposed to be. Yeah, it was a big dilemma.
Yeah. They were going to have a cutout poster board.
They did have a cutout poster board of me, but you know, I guess I don't want to say getting cut from Seattle was a blessing in disguise, but what happened was I was able to make my sister's wedding. So I was able to see my sister get married, which was really cool. But that was a tough time to be home because everybody thought
there was a big party, send you off.
Yeah.
Everyone's wearing Seahawks jerseys. You know, everyone instantly became a Seahawks fan.
Yeah, all my friends and family. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, everyone that was a long plane ride home, huh?
Yeah, I remember. So that whole experience was a huge learning experience for me, on and off the field. You know, on the field, it's more than just snapping. Off the field, it's not about your image and trying to, you know, there's a time and a place for that, you know, and that's not all about like social media and doing a bunch of stuff and trying to be in the limelight. You know, it's about doing your job and being really good at it and being a pro. So that whole experience really taught me my priorities. It taught me how to handle adversity. It taught me how to, you know, be showed me what I need to do to get better as an athlete, and then showed me what I need to do to focus on and how to carry myself as a pro. Because a lot of times, when you're 23, 24 years old, you know, you're a kid still, you know, and you don't. I'm 26 now. I guess I'm kind of kid adult still, but
well, you've matured a lot just in the last
in the last few years. So you know, there's not a lot of not a lot of information out there of like how to carry yourself when you're a young pro, so
None.
So you gotta, focus on the right things and stay out of, don't feel like you need to be out there doing XYZ because you see, other guys doing it, especially if you're a rookie guy like myself, I'm a young rookie guy. I mean, just focus on ball and everything kind of takes care of itself. So
don't believe the hype, people.
Right.
So the depression sets in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Getting a little dark here, but yeah.
Well, no, it's real. I mean,
it's real.
You get cut, you're living your dream suddenly, then all of a sudden it's ripped out from under you with no absolute, it just as matter of fact as it can be. Now you're left at home, no job, no money, depressed. How did you get through that? What was it that got you through that?
That was tough. That was actually, we've talked about like the pinnacles of my professional, or my not professional, but my athletic career. That was the lowest part of my career, was getting cut and being home that fall. I didn't want to go out and be seen by anybody because I didn't want to be asked about it. I didn't have any game film. I didn't have any money. I was living at home. I was 24 years old. Most 24-year-olds, they're just that have their master's degree aren't living at home and not have a job, so it was a very awkward time for me. I trained and every day was a struggle, to be honest, to stay motivated. There was days I was so unmotivated I could barely force myself to get under the squat bar. You know what I mean? It was like to get under the bar even was a task because I was so just drained emotionally. So just taking it one day at a time and just knowing this is tough, but like we've talked about before, there are times when you want to quit. This is another time where I thought about quitting, but I wanted to. I had the urge to. Just back like in the Pop Warner days when I didn't want to go to conditioning, I didn't want to go to do practice, and I didn't want to get my butt knocked in every day, getting knocked on my butt by guys that were better than me. The same thing. I mean, I could have quit and then screw it, but there's just something in me that wouldn't allow me to. It didn't feel right. You know what I mean? It just didn't feel right for me to do that. So. I just was training and staying ready. And
there was that same voice that was telling you to say, all right, I'll do it.
Right. Yeah. It was really that same sort of thing in me that was like,
keep trying. Don't quit.
Exactly. So
it ain't over.
It ain't over. So, I mean, it's tough. I don't know what to say. Like it's hard to do, but you just gotta, try to stay positive and try to keep your mind off negative things and just get better every day. And as long as you're getting better at what you're doing, I mean, this isn't just football, this is life, whatever you want to do. As long as each day you can feel like, okay, I got better, I was better than I was the day before, then you're headed in the right direction. You might not be going as fast as other people,
still making
but
progress.
That's okay because you can't compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 12. And I learned that from Steve actually at Weatherford. He told me that don't compare your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 12. You're not along that point yet, but you're moving in the right direction. But you don't need to be running as fast as someone else because you're running your own race. And that's cliche as that sounds, it's really true. I'm running my own race. My journey is pretty much different than everybody else's, I feel like. So, and it's not over. I'm still going on mine. Mine's still chugging along here.
And we'll get to that right now. So you keep looking. You get a few calls here. You go to a couple tryouts here and there. You don't get an opportunity. Then suddenly you take a job, you're out there selling mortgages, you're putting on a suit and tie.
I got my real estate license when I that fall when I was 2016, I started studying for it. And then I had a few calls. I actually had a workout get canceled on me.
Last minute
got canceled on me, which is fine. It's not a big deal. But it was kind of like, fitting with the theme of the year that was going, it was like all this bad stuff's happened to me. Oh, okay. Wasn't, is this a shocker that, this happened, but just tried to stay positive throughout the whole thing. And then I geared up, going into 2017, I got my license, that spring. And I was, trying to stay fit and ready and also pursuing stuff off the field. 'Cause I do have my master's degree. I do take pride in my education. I'm not just like a football player. I value education and so I actually closed my first deal in January of 20. Actually right here in Oceanside, not far from here. But anyways, the year of 2017. So we had the fall of 2016, and then we go into 2017, and again, that was like I would say like I'm hanging on by a cliff year, like I'm hanging on with my hands on a cliff year. Felt like for me, you know,
about ready to give up and let go.
It was yeah. I was
let go of the dream.
I really was, because I had a workout with Jacksonville in the spring. Then got sent home from that. Did well, got sent home, and so I knew I was on their short list. Ended up so that was in March. Then August rolls around. I get a call from the Saints for a workout. Do well. I thought I'd do real well. Get sent home. Then during that year, it was I went weeks or months without a phone call, and when you start thinking to yourself like, okay, like I'm 25 years old, like I'm still living at home, like I feel like I'm at a crossroads here. Like, what do I do? I've got my license in real estate. Like, I could pursue that, or I feel like I was fighting two things, and I hate admitting this, but this is the first time the closest I ever got to like really stopping football was this past fall, 2017. And then I get a phone call from the long snapper for the Jacksonville Jags gets hurt. And I get a phone call, was not expecting it, from Jacksonville. Well, they were playing the Chargers, and their long snapper for Jacksonville got hurt. I ended up getting a phone call, getting invited in for the workout. I was on a red-eye flight that night.
Yeah, I remember that.
I flew from San Diego to San Francisco, red-eyed from San Fran to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Jacksonville. Didn't sleep, couldn't sleep. I can't sleep on planes. Fun fact. Got picked up by Jacksonville from the airport about 7:45 in the morning, straight to the hospital for a physical, workout at 10 a.m. and working out for now. I'm back in Jacksonville. When I was I had a workout in March, and this is November. It's week 10 of the season.
Wow.
And I'm like, dang, 2 weeks ago I was ready to kind of split, because I just didn't know what to do. And then I didn't win that workout, obviously. They chose another guy who was worthy. He won. I feel like he did a good job, won the workout, just being unbiased. And I remember I got home, or I was on the plane, and I remember getting sent home. I was like, God, I hate being sent home. I'm tired of being sent home from workouts. I'm tired of being, I got sent home from Seattle, I got sent home from Jacksonville, I got sent home from New Orleans, I got sent home from Jacksonville again. I was like, I'm tired of these return flights.
Yeah.
and I'm saying that in the least, I'm not trying to be cocky at all. I'm just saying I don't want to feel this feeling anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sent home. I don't want to, when I'm updating you and telling you, oh, I almost got, I want to, I want to do this thing. So when I got home, I just told myself, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get. We're coming up on December here, and the year was wrapping up, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give 2018 a chance. I was like, I'm just gonna put everything behind me. What happened this past year with getting sent home from workouts, and a lot of guys will tell you at all positions in the NFL, everyone gets sent home from workouts.
Yeah. The majority of people get sent home.
The majority of people, and the people who even have made it, have been sent home from numerous workouts. Yeah. So it's normal. But I told myself, I said, you know what, I'm going to give 2018 a chance. I'm going to put being sent home from workouts, getting cut, getting a workout canceled on me, all this my previous past with quote unquote negative things that were not non-successes, I'll say, and I'm gonna put those in my past, and I'm just gonna say, okay, I'm gonna give. I really just took a deep breath. I'm gonna give 2018 a chance.
Deep breath, folks. That's huge.
Yeah, I just said, let go and let God. I was like, I'm gonna give 2018 a chance and then see what happens, and then I'll reevaluate at the end of the year. Because a lot of people ask you, oh, so what are you doing now? Like, you still doing football, or what are you doing now? Okay, what are you gonna do? I'm tired of those questions. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put all that to the side, that noise to the side, and I'm just gonna give 2018 a chance and see what happens. And then, I'll let you ask more questions from there.
Yeah. So the Bucs call you.
Yeah. So then I go to another showcase. And I said, you know what? I got to sign up for every freaking showcase in the country, because I was just going to go to Arizona. This past 2017, I just went to Arizona, and there was 2 more of them out there that I could have went to. I was like, I need to go get exposed all over. I need to go to everything.
Yeah, if they don't see you, they don't know you exist.
Exactly. This potentially could be my last year. I don't know. I said, unload the chamber. Let's release the cannons. I'm going all in. So January middle of January, went out to Mobile, Alabama, and did a combine showcase. Michael Husted, formerly kicked for the Buccaneers, actually, put on a combine and went there and did well. And that's where I was discovered by Tampa. And 10 days later, I was actually on the field practicing in Vista Sports Park on the field. And I had an alarm on my phone set for 9:30 because I was going to tell John Carney, because I go out to kick with Carney. I said, John, keep this phone in your pocket. My alarm's going to go off, and I have to leave at 9:30, because I was balancing work and playing, So, 10 minutes later, my phone was buzzing.
In John's pocket. 23-year NFL vet.
Shout out John Carney, 23-year NFL veteran. He goes, oh, Drew, your phone's ringing. And I look over, and he looks at my phone, and it's my agent's name. And it's always, it's a great sign to hear, because I know I did well at that showcase. So I thought I'd hear something, but it was 10 days after the event, and answer the phone from Paul. I said, hey, Paul. I said, how you doing? I'm like, good. He goes, you ready? I'm like, yes, sir. Just getting started practicing here. And he goes, I'm just on the field, actually. He goes, okay, well, Tampa wants to work you out. Do you want to fly today or tomorrow?
Let's go.
And so I was like, and what's funny is, remember how I said in Seattle when they cut me, I said, okay, do you want to fly today or tomorrow? Yeah. And that just shows you how fast the NFL works. Yeah. I get a phone call.
Do you want to leave tonight or tomorrow? You want to fly today?
Yeah, you want to fly. Can you work out? Can you work out tomorrow or Friday? That's what he said.
Always be ready, people.
Always be. Yeah, always be ready. Always be ready. So it was a Wednesday, and he said, "You want to work out tomorrow or Friday?" And I said, "Duh, let's go." So I'm ready now. So I was like, I wanted all to show them, like, hey, I don't need an extra day to, do my hair and stuff. I'm like, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm
so, snapping right now.
Yeah. So that was at 9:15, 9:30 in the morning, Wednesday, and then I was on a flight at 3 that day.
Wow.
To Tampa. So got into Tampa that night at 11 at night. Lost 3 hours.
Okay.
And then worked out the next day.
Hot, humid again, just like.
Well, it was February, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. But it's still humid.
Tampa's 2 hours away from Gainesville. If any of you were curious of wanting to know.
So you're back home.
I'm back home. I'm back where my college career started when I was a 18-year-old freshman. I'm now 20, almost 26. I'm a month away from being 26, and I'm back in for an interview with Tampa, and I was the only snapper in the workout, which is a good sign for me. I felt good, and then I had a really good workout. I felt really good, was healthy, and did well, and then signed that day, and then they sent me home that night.
So how did you feel when you took this picture right here, Jim? There you go.
Oh, the headshot.
So how did you feel right there? Yeah, there we go.
Woo! That's obviously a recording, right?
Yes. We have little people under the counters now. We just paid it.
Yeah.
So there you are, number 41.
Number 41, yep.
Tampa Bay Bucs uniform, bright, colorful, a lot of interesting colors there. How did that feel when you're taking that picture? You can see the happiness, man.
Yeah, it was. Thanks. It felt good. I mean, I'm proud of that picture, but at the same time,
work's got to be done still.
Plenty of work to be done. Plenty of work to be done, exactly. So
what are you going to do differently this time? Go ahead, you can take that picture down. What are you going to do different? Are you going to get out and do the social events and get involved in the community?
Well, no, not
yet.
Not yet. I mean, if I do want to do that, would be way down the road.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of things to square away right now. And I mean, listen, I'm not saying it's bad to be involved in the community, but there's a fine line between like.
Well, that's the one thing you said got you sidetracked before.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Get you sidetracked. As a mentor, as a older guy in your life, I want to make sure that I remind you of that.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. So, no, I just put the phone down and get to work. I mean, bring your lunch pail to work every day. And a guy who big mentor in my life, Steve Weatherford, 10-year NFL veteran, Super Bowl champion. He just says, like, he gave me a lot of really good advice. And he just said, Drew, when I come visit you and I walk in there and I ask, hey, tell me about Drew Ferris. He wants here,
Nose to the grindstone,
brings his lunch pail every day and just freaking grinds, and
your dad wants to hear that,
of course,
and everybody that loves you in life, including myself, want to hear the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Because we all know that that's the only thing that's going to get you that spot where you walk out and you look between your legs and you see a bunch of Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans and a bunch of people that hate the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all screaming, snap it over his head.
Right. I want you to do bad. Right. So, I've just been put the phone down and study and just, my morning routine has been way more locked in. What I'm doing when I'm in the building is way more locked in and focused and just studying my assignments and watching film and just getting ready for practice. And like we started at the beginning of the podcast talking about every day is a tryout. Yeah. I mean, right now I'm in an intern phase right now. Yeah. I mean, I'm on the team, but there's a lot of work to be done and I got a lot to prove of myself, going into training camp, and I'm excited for the opportunity. But I felt really good this off season, getting better every day, and it went by so much faster, and just getting the most out of practice and trying to be, own it. We talked about owning, if you're going to be the L5 on kickoff, like own it. If you're going to be the long snapper here, own it. I mean, how good can you be at that thing? So that's kind of where I'm at right now with that, and just taking everything day by day, and just giving my best effort,
Well, man, I am so inspired. There's so many more things that I could ask you right now, but I think this is a really good point to stop this podcast and, just remind everybody that every day is a tryout. Mm-hmm. We all have an opportunity in life in which we can prove ourselves and be coachable and really take advantage of the opportunities. And it's up to you to do that, and nobody else is going to do it for you. So what I want you guys to do is Sundays here in the future, look for number 41, Tampa. I'm going to cry, damn it, with the Bucs, because I've seen this guy put in the work, and he deserves it, and I'm very excited about the next chapter of his life, and I'm excited about the next chapter of yours. As always, make it a great day.
Thank you, Clark.
You're listening to the Pants Off Podcast with Clark Bartram and Jeremy Jackson.
CBT's Performance Apparel, where fashion meets performance. Upload your custom design or grab the CBT's Deal of the Week at clarkstees.com. The podcast with CB and JJ is sponsored by Providence Video Productions in Escondido, California, providers of full creative video and audio production services. Utilizing state-of-the-art professional equipment for all your broadcast needs. Web page, embedded or live streaming videos and podcasts. Aerial drone videography. Music videos, 3D animation, studio and field production. Contact us at providencevid.com.